see. Hi, Stampers. It's Lisa. Welcome to today's live. Looks like I forgot a light on this side. Sorry about that. But we're going to spend most of our time down on my desk because I have a super cute card to share with you. And it's made using some new dies. They're actually circle dies. And somebody said, some of those dies are really big. What would you do with those? So today, I'm going to show you what we would do with really big circle dies. So let's go down to my desk. Okay, here are the dies I'm referring to, and they are from the new catalog. It won't be available until September. We have a couple more weeks, but I can't show you anything on the inside yet. Even though I have my copy, I can't show you the inside on camera. I have mailed them out to my customers. Hopefully you have one in your hot little hands. And if you're not, and you're one of my customers, or you wish to be one of my customers, let me know and I'll make sure you get one right away. But one of the things in there is these new Deckled circles. And I decided to use them this week because I think they're kind of hidden. They're one of those things that you really kind of have to pay attention to see because we're all in there so focused on stamp sets and bundles and all of that. And these are just basic shapes. And basic shapes are my favorite. So we did a card on Monday that involved these circles. Of course, I can't put my finger on it, but it was with the ice cream, and it opened up using kind of a circle gatefold card. And today we're doing what we call a rocker card, and that's because it rocks. I might have a little bit of a lag on my internet today because we have thunder and lightning outside. It's been in, close to 100. Now all of a sudden we have thunder and lightning, even though it's hot. So it's kind of humid. It's really yucky, but hopefully my feed is not interrupted today. So you can see how we make this card. I have most things kind of pre-cut because like I said, I was worried about how stable the internet was going to be, but I used the largest die to cut out this piece in early espresso cardstock. And then I use the next size down to do one in crumb cake. And then I went down one more and used some of our designer series paper. Now the scrap that I used, the whole circle didn't fit on there, but technically that's okay because it's only going to go halfway up my card. So we're going to end up trimming the top off anyway. So I'm not going to worry about it. So remember that when you're using your dies, you can save a lot of designer series paper by only cutting the part that you need. If you technically only needed this much designer series paper, I would start out with a strip that's that wide so that you don't have this part you're cutting off because that's either a scrap or throwaway. We don't know. But you can save by cutting to the right size or making two cards. That's what I have for this one. I cut another one that's the same size as our crumb cake layer because I didn't put an inside on this one. And I thought, we should, but I only need a half of an inside. So we'll put half here and we'll put the other half on this one, right? We'll make two cards. Then I have my focal point. And so I skipped... Let's see, I skipped two of them, right? Let's see, this looks like the right size I used for that one. So we used the biggest one, the next down, and the next down. So then, yes, I skipped two, and we used the next one. So that would be in early espresso. Then I have the next size down in crumb cake, and the next size down in very vanilla. So far, super easy, right? All we did was we die cut circles. Nothing to that. Then I went in and I fussy cut a couple of the fish because I wanted different fish. This one here, out of the designer series paper, actually uses the die from the Gone Fishing bundle. This little die just lays on the designer series paper and cuts it out already finished. The other two I fussy cut. And then I thought we need some string to put them on, so I brought in some of our basic twine. I like this one. And I think that's going to be nice and neutral to hold that on there. And we only need a small piece. So we have all of our pieces, right? Oh, and I brought in the Gone Fishing because when we go to the inside, we're going to need to decide on a sentiment, right? Okay. I'm going to pull in my trimmer. And let's start with these ones that are going to be half. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm kind of laying it down on my bed here. And I'm saying, okay, that's about where the trimmer blade's going to go. So then I need to match up over here where this side's going to go. Okay, so this is ending up at 5 3/8. So I need half of that. Kind of confusing, right? Let's see, if we went this way, let's pull in this one. How wide is this one? So if we go that on there and this on here, 5 3/4. So half of 5 1/2 is 2 3/4. And then we need a little bit more, so I'm going to go halfway into that. Okay, so that should be halfway. So I can go ahead and score and assume that's halfway. Okay, some of you are all freaked out. Oh my God, we did math. You know, it's down into the 1/4 inches or 1/8 inches. We're like freaking out. Okay, I have a simplicity for you. What you can do is take the piece that you cut it out of and fold this one in half. Because that's really easy. This was going to be garbage anyway, right? So we can fold this in half, because folding this in half, it gets a little tricky. You know, you can, but I kind of want a score line. It makes for a better cut. So if I come in here and I do this and I set this in here, then I can take a pencil and we can make a pencil mark where this is. And then we can just score on that line. Oops. So now that it's already scored, now we can come in, match up the sides. Come on. And then we're going to fold this over. And again, I'm doing the same thing I always do, is that I'm butting up these two sides over here, and then I'm pushing back into our fold so that we are nice and even. And then just burnishing that fold. Okay, so who found that a whole lot easier? Just taking our empty and using that to find your halfway mark. Easy peasy, right? All right, so now I can either do the same thing. I can fold over my empty, cut this in half, or I can lay it on here. Again, this is going to be my inside, so then I can use this as my guide. Can do the same thing here. I can either glue it down and then cut off from the back, or I can once again use my little marks and then use that to cut. It works both ways. You would just want to make sure that you either erase that or you flip it over and make sure your pencil mark is on the back side. Then I would just mount this onto here. Okay, and then we would do the same thing here. We can lay that on there and we can trim it off, or we can lay it on there and we can draw a line. Oops. And then cut on that line. Okay, now we just need some adhesive. So I'm going to get started with some liquid glue for this part. only because it's rounded and it's easier for me to hit the edges with just a little bit of glue rather than trying to do the snail or the seal. That's our new stuff. The tape runner. Okay, so this is using the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper. And you can do this with anything. Once again, I'm showing you with the Gone Fishing bundle, but that's not to say that you couldn't pick out any other bundle from the catalog, any other colors, any other Designer Series paper. Please, please, please be creative. That's why we do this, right? It allows us to be creative. You don't need to copy me exactly. You copy and then put your spin on it. Make it your own. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to get upset about you copying me, but the fun is in the creativity. And we're all so hard on ourselves and thinking, oh, I'm not that creative and she's so much better at it. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, this took me a lot of years. I've been doing Stampin' Up! For 25 plus years and I love it. And I've got a lot of experience in it. Those who are just getting started, that's where you watch these things. You get tips and tricks and you figure out what the little things are. What are our little secrets? And then you tweak it and make it your own. Okay, this one, I'm going to just put adhesive on half of my circle because I want it to go over the top. I'm going to start out this way. Just because I was worried about making a mess with the glue, I'm going to make sure it's all on there. And then because it's liquid, I can wiggle. So see, look at that. We're already at our rocker stage. So how about that? I mean, 15 minutes in and we're almost done with our card. Like, how simple is that, right? Y'all were panicked that this was going to be difficult, and it's not. And I've got some other ideas to share with you on what you can do with these circles too. So stick around, and since you're going to stick around until we do the drawing, go ahead and put in hashtag prize patrol, because that's what's going to get you entered into the drawing to possibly win this card, that I would send it to you in the mail. So hashtag prize patrol, all run together as one word. See, Karen, Gretchen, a bunch of you already have that in. Great job. Way to go, Connie and Carol. I love to send you guys my cards so that you can touch and feel and recreate them. And then, of course, I would love it if you would come over to the Facebook group or my Facebook page, Stress-Free Card Making with Queen Bee Creations. And I have a post on there where I'm asking you to share your cards with me. If you've made something that I've done on a live, let's see it. Because I'm anxious to see which ones you guys were most excited about and which ones you like jumped out there to try. Because that helps me know which ones to do next, like what it is that you guys want to see. Now, if you ever see something like out there on the internet or found it on Pinterest, you're going, oh my God, this is a great card, but I'm not sure how to do it and there's no directions, or I don't understand the directions, let me know. I mean, send me that pin. I'd love to see it. And then maybe I can figure it out and then I can share it as one of my lives, because that's probably a really time-consuming part of my week, is for me to comb over everything and go, gosh, what have we not done yet? And what can I show them that's new? So if you guys find those things for me, send them over. Okay, I'm going to bring in some dimensionals because I want to pop this up a little bit. Now, the twine is not very thick, and so it's not necessary to use the dimensionals to protect the bulk. Sometimes when we have other ribbons or twines that we're using, we will use the dimensionals to just raise this layer so that it gives what I call clearance for the ribbon to be in there and not give a lump in the card. Because if you had kind of a bulky ribbon and then you tried to lay this flat, it may have a bump where you've wrapped it around to the back. I always recommend that you wrap it around to the back and you adhere it somehow, because then if it ever frays or it starts falling apart, it's all hidden. It's not going to affect the quality of your card at all. Helene says this would make a great baby card. I agree. Because it's a rocker, it would love to just rock back and forth with some kind of baby thing, right? Okay, if you guys are looking for written directions on some of the cards I've made, I highly suggest you pop on over to my online store. I do sell my tutorials now. You get them free as a customer. When you place orders, I always send you a set of tutorials. But if you're another demonstrator maybe and you would like to have some written directions, I sell 6 written tutorials with all the directions, measurements, supplies, everything you need, plus some sketches, all for just $10. So I think it's a really good deal. I keep having people tell me that I need to up my prices, but I want you guys to try it out. Okay. I mean, I need to make a little bit of money to pay for all these new lighting and camera holders and all this stuff that I do. That obviously costs money, as well as all the postage for sending all this stuff out. So I do need to make a little bit of money, but I'm not out there to rip you off either. Okay, so I just went ahead and adhered this fish using the twine, and I put that on there with glue dots. I recommend glue dots when working with the twines and ribbons and stuff, because they're kind of thicker and it allows for more adhesion. They just stick better. That's what the glue dots are designed for, is for buttons and ribbons and embellishments that maybe need something a little thicker. I mean, they do still work for holding down just regular layers. Like I just put one under the tail and that's going to hold it down for me. But seal or liquid glue would have done that too. Whereas trying to put ribbon down with liquid glue can sometimes get a little complicated. Okay, so then I just need to adhere these on there. Like I said, I don't do much fishing, but I hear that they have little hooks down a I don't know, a chain. I don't know, what do they carry fish on? So I'm just going to adhere these down over the top. Again, since I have glue dots out, I'm just going to go ahead and go with that, just because it's easy and they're sitting here. Okay. Then I'm just going to peel off the backing. Did y'all know that the Take Your Pick tool is a great thing for peeling off these little backings and kind of holding them together so that you have like one little thing that you can use to file them off into your trash can and they're not all over the place. Takes a little bit of practice, but I've seen some gals on YouTube do that super fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we have our card to the state that we have it over here. So we have 2 cards now that are just the outside. And I think that, ooh, the rocking horse, that would be super cute in this because it's it should be rocking, right? I can see that. Great idea, Christy. Okay, so I have the insides. Like I said, I took this other very vanilla circle and I cut it in half so we can put one in each card, and it's just going to be an inside layer. It's already got our little border that fits around the outside. We just need to decide what we're going to do with it. So I have these stamps here. We're kind of past Happy Father's Day. Good things come to those who wait. Might be a little tall. Oh, it does. It fits. We can do one with that. And then I'm liking the happy retirement. Maybe it's my age, but I like the idea of happy retirement. My stamp is a little bit stained, but it still works perfect. Apparently, it got used either in a class or something and not cleaned right away. If that had been cleaned right away, it wouldn't have quite so much of the blue like permanently stained on there. But it's not going to affect the way it works. It's still going to stamp just fine. You saw that I put my retirement, like the word, on one of the little lines and then set my block down on it with my lines arranged over here. And now I've got my circle on a line. We're thinking all of that together is going to keep our sentiment straight, right? That looks good to me. Okay, then you could choose to let's see. You can either stamp some more on there, or I think I'm going to just do this. This is something we did a lot many, many years ago, is just took a sponge dauber or a sponge and just kind of antiqued the edges. Made it give kind of a look of burnt paper, but it also was a great way to add another layer. Like here we have, you know, the 3, 4, 5 layers here, 6. We could imitate one by just giving a little bit of the sponging instead. And then this is round, so it probably won't work as well here, but I want to remind you, when we did our last cards using this Go Fishing, these ones that on the paper were, you know, die cutting and fussy cutting all these out of here, and there's all of these ones that are partial fish. Don't discount them, because you can fussy cut that out, adhere it down, and then just trim off the excess from the back. So it kind of looks like they're swimming on and swimming off, you know, depending on whether or not you have the tail end or you have the front end. So those could easily be added to your cards as well, especially when the inside's square. I mean, we're working with round, so it's not working quite as well. But I love to give you guys tips and tricks and ways that you can make the most of all of your supplies, because we spend a lot of money on them and we want them to go a long way, right? Okay. So I'm just going to push this right up into our score line and then fold that over. So there's inside of one of our cards, and then we have this second one. And this has some more colors in it. I think I'm going to pull out that boho blue. I'm really loving that color. This is one of the new colors that we got in, what was it, May, when we got our new annual catalog. I'm in love with this color. I think it's so pretty. And it just goes so well with, you know, Misty Moonlight or Blueberry Bushel. There's several of them that just match right up. Now, again, this grid paper can be used if you're trying to figure out like where the middle of something is. If you're not clear I can put it over here at almost 2 3/4, almost 2 3/4. And then when I come in with my stamping and I want to stamp right here in the middle, then I've got a really good chance I've got it centered. No, I guess you can't see the numbers. But these numbers up here, these start with the 0 in the middle and then go out. Whereas down at the bottom, we're starting with 1 and going over to 16. And it also goes up the side the same way, and that this goes, 1 inch to 10 inch, and then over here, our 0 is in the middle on the side here. It also works great if you have something overall that you're trying to put the middle of, then this plus in the middle is what you're going for. So this grid paper is good for so many things. It's obviously keeping my desk nice and clean. It's giving me a little bit of cushion to go underneath my photopolymer stamps. It has the measurements on there. There's some wish list stuff you can do. You can make some notes on the card you're working on. Just so many things you can use this paper for. And it lasts a long time. The stack that you get is huge. And, each piece lasts a long time. You've seen me sometimes I'll bring in a smaller piece of grid paper or maybe an old one folded in half when I'm using it to catch kind of what I'm stamping off. If I'm going to stamp and it's going to land on my paper, just because I want my paper to last longer. I want to be really pretty for you guys as I'm making my cards, but I'm still stingy. I'm going to make that paper last longer by using my scraps when I can to protect it so I don't have to change it out so soon. So there's that one. And, we could also be putting some of these extra pieces in here. There's nothing to say we couldn't find one of these little fishing lures or something and either stamp them on there, or all of these are left over from last week when I was doing the tackle box and the fishing vest. These were all leftover pieces that we could just glue to the inside. And I think that would look really cute too. Or you could just stamp them direct onto the paper. I keep all my leftovers. This is one of our clear medium envelopes, and I just cut off the flap. And then all my extras go in here so that when I open this back up again and I'm ready to make my next card, I don't recreate something I already have. It's the best way I've found that I will use my scraps. Okay, so keep putting in hashtag prize patrol. If you haven't done that already, please do that. Because after I get done with these cards, I'm going to show you what I'm doing next week. And I will be live on Monday. Thursday, it's going to look like I go live because it's going to be scheduled and go up at 2:30 just as normal, but I'm going to be in Las Vegas. Stampin' Up! Is having their leadership convention, and I will be attending that, but I didn't want you guys to miss out on yet another chance for a free online class. So we are going to have that pre-recorded and scheduled, and it will go up at 2:30 on Thursday. Just, I won't be live. It'll look like it, but if I don't answer questions, that's why. Maybe I'll come back and answer them after the fact, but I won't be answering them live, as I'm sure we'll be in meetings. Some of you may have seen these step cards. We've done these several times. This is a standard side step card. We've also done one that's been a faux side step because it was a little easier to cut, didn't require this in here. But did you know that you can do the same thing using the circles? So I took our largest circle, and then of course I found the middle, and then I found the middle, and I measured from the middle. I went up 3/8 of an inch and scored, and then up 5/8 of an inch and scored. Then I came down 1 inch, and scored, and down 5/8 and scored. Now between the top and bottom score lines, I cut in the middle. Okay, that's the same as this. I mean, it's different measurements, but it's the same idea that I scored and scored, and then I went back in and cut from the top to the bottom score line, right? Then, of course, this one back here is mountain, then valley, then mountain, then valley, then mountain, and you end up with this. Okay, then you would either lay your circle die on top of it, because it has this deckled thing. Now, I've been with Stampin' Up! Forever. I have some deckled shears. They're scissors that have a decal on the edge that I can go ahead and cut that off and make it circular. Or my little sample card here, you can see, I cut it with straight scissors, and you can't really tell. This over here, these folds don't belong there. This is when I was trying to figure out what my measurements needed to be in here to make this correct, so that I gave you the proper measurements to make this card work. But from my little scrap sample here thing, you can see that just trimming it off with straight scissors, you can't really tell. By the time you decorated this all up and, you know, put some little pieces in here, they're not going to notice. But that would give you a circular sidestep card using the large dies. And I'm just showing you that because somebody, you know, pointed out they didn't know what to do with these larger dies. And that's one of the things you can do. You can also make a 6x6 card. You can take the 12x12 and you fold it in half. And then you're going to take this and then right on the edge, like where the, say this was 6x6 and you were putting this down on here, you would make sure that some of the score line was inside the die. So if you were to cut this out and it was a large circle, but you didn't cut this one section, when you took this off, that would be your hinge. And so that could be where the card opened. So you can use that there too. So I know just some simple ideas, but I didn't want to not show you because somebody asked, what do I do with those giant circles? That's what we do. Okay, on Monday, we're going to be playing around with these dies. Have you guys seen these in the catalog yet? We have the Patchwork Pieces dies. They are a set of 2. Which are not in front of me. And so that's these right here. Now, when I first got them, I was a little disappointed that they're so small. Like, I thought they would go on a standard size card. And if I had a standard size card, I mean, they fit. But I decided to pull out some note cards. I have not worked with note cards, and I can't tell you how long, but Stampin' Up! Sells them. We sell these note cards, like pre-cut, pre-scored, and have the matching, you know, colored envelopes to go with it. And so all I had to do was pull these out and then create my designs, and they were ready to go. So there was no cutting of the bases for me on these cards. And they come in, you know, full sets. When I did this, I cut it out of the Inked Botanicals, and then I did an alternate. So we're going to play around. I'm going to show you how I did that and how I put the pattern paper on the edge of the envelope to make it a matching set. We could also stamp on the envelope to make it match. This is the Starburst, and then this is kind of our swirls. And then I use the Biggest Wishes for down here. Hopefully I have not cut out. You can do them landscaped and you can do them sideways. The lightning's making me a little freaked out outside. So if I cut off, I apologize. So that will be Monday's card. We'll make those note cards using the dies. But then I'm going to show you a few more ideas in my Thursday video where maybe we just use a partial and we use cardstock instead of DSP. So I made this set, which I thought was super cute. And I did this in like subtle colors. And then I came back in and I did it in the swirls with your bright rainbows. So this is what we'll do on Thursday. So who is ready for spinning our wheel? Everybody should have put in hashtag prize patrol, all to run together as one word. That enters you into the drawing. I have the computer behind the scenes collecting everybody's information. So I can add that to our little screen here. And then I'm going to give the wheel a spin and see who's going to get today's card mailed to them. So there we go. Karen is our winner. Congratulations, Karen. You know what to do. You pop on over to my website, queenbeecreations.net. Then up in the address bar, you're going to add /prize patrol to the end. That will toss you over to the Google form where you can fill that out and give me the address on where you want your card mailed to. So thank you to everyone for joining me. Like I said, come back on Monday. We will be creating these adorable note cards using those Patchwork Pieces dies, another one of those hidden sleepers in our catalog. And then we will have a pre-recorded video for Thursday when I'm out of town. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you Monday. Bye.